Well, Scott, once again, thank you so much for your time here today. We're going to get into your incredible story and your career. But first, I want to start with your big event coming up. It's something you've done for a number of years. Scott Hamilton and Friends, happening this month in Nashville. What can you tell us about that and why people should get involved with it?
It's so funny that every year we do one of these shows, I say, you've got to come because there's nothing like it anywhere in the world. We're the only people that can do this event. And it is sensory overload. It is so big and so spectacular. And what we do is we turn Bridgestone Arena into a theater, basically. So they're interacting with the skaters the whole time they're performing and singing. Every year we do something a little different. This year we're doing classic rock. So we're calling it Rock the Rink. We've got amazing superstar rock stars coming in to sing their songs. The music of Kevin Cronin, formerly of REO Speedwagon, is coming in. That record he wrote sold 10 million copies, high infidelity. Every one of those songs is going to be incredible. You've got Olympic skaters skating to those songs, and it is beyond spectacular. I became a fundraiser when my mom died. I saw if I could find a way to raise money to find a treatment for her cancer. I know better why I was born. And then, I just raised money. I didn't know what else to do. It's what do you do in your grief? The best you can, right? So I did that for about 20 years. And then on that 20th year, I'm diagnosed with cancer. And so now I knew what it felt like to go through it. I knew what the diagnosis felt like, the fear and anxiety that just comes with that. And I knew what the biopsy felt like and waiting on the results. And I knew that initial shock of you have stage 3 cancer. And what we're going to do is this. And it's like, I can't have cancer. I'm booked. I'm too busy. But I had to face it. When I went through it, I realized that most people are ill-equipped to go through a cancer journey because the doctors are there to prescribe a treatment that will work to destroy your cancer. But almost 99% of them haven't gone through it themselves. I mean, there might be some sort of percentage out there of actual oncologists that go through cancer. But when you ask, it's like, well, what are you going to do? And they say chemotherapy. And so, well, isn't that like where you put me in a room and change all my bodily fluids and machine? No, it's just a chemical bag of medicine. And we just IV drip it into your body. It's like, I could do that. What else? You might get sick from the chemo. How sick am I going to get? Moderate to severe. What does that look like? Moderate to severe. So when I survived cancer, I started the Cancer Alliance for Research, Education, Survivorship. That's CARES. It's an acronym. I wanted to grow an alliance, which is an army, meaning you're interacting with some really cool people and you're building all these new modalities. I just thought that would be really exciting to do. But in the meantime, let's take my journey and fix all of the voids that I experienced. So we created a mentorship program called the Fourth Angel. And that is, if you're a newly diagnosed patient, we're going to introduce you to a survivor who will guide you and be there when you need answers to questions that nobody else can answer. So the whole idea of Fourth Angel is your first angel is your oncologist. Your second angel is your oncology nurse. Your third angel is your friends and family. What was missing was the fourth angel. That somebody's been there, done that, built that. So I worked, I think it was 5 years. I was the organ grinder's monkey to kind of raise enough money to build a website called chemocare.com, which tells you everything you need to know about chemotherapy, how it's administered, the drugs, how they work, side effects associated with the medications, how you can manage those side effects. And it's all in 8th grade English and Spanish. And now we really want to make sure that no one has to die of this disease. We fund research and partner with people. We've had 111 partnerships in the last 10 years as a dedicated foundation. It's amazing that we're seeing hope in many respects where there wasn't hope. We're seeing cancers that were untreatable. I had testicular cancer. 50 years ago, I would have a 5% chance to survive.
Wow.
So our goal is to fund as many of those people as possible. How do we gather people together? We do events and create an environment where we celebrate life and call to action. This impacts all of us. Let's link arms and create. The science is here and the money is here. If we can close that gap, no one ever has to die of cancer again. We've got to keep pushing the funding and the fundraising and gather people passionate about this. So we do it. It's solvable. We just have to come together to make it happen. I wish I could just write a check, close that gap, and now everything's over and we can go on about our lives. But it's going to take a community coming together to really make this thing work. So we're always out there shouting from the rooftops and trying to gather people to celebrate life and to create a funding mechanism that will solve problems that maybe one day weren't solvable at all.
A lot of former athletes, current athletes are in your position to have a platform and do stuff like this, but because you've experienced it yourself, does it make it more unique? Does it make it different the way you attack this?
There are a lot of survivors out there, more than ever. Problem is, more people are being diagnosed and more people are succumbing to the disease, but there are more survivors than ever. And in that, I think that's where we can really tell our tale. I meet people every single day and I reach out to people every single day to try to encourage and help. It's a scary thing because bad things only happen to other people. Like that can never happen to me. But when it does, you need people around you that are going to see you through it. I've been involved with a lot of different cancer centers over the years, and I've heard a lot of hope. And I've heard a lot of doctors, one we're working with at Vanderbilt, he just said there's one specific cancer that he said, I've been telling the same story for 40 years, and it hasn't budged. We got to do better. And so we said, what do you need? And we came alongside him and we funded a brain cancer study. The results were so positive right out of the gate. It's like, oh, wow. For glioblastoma, multiform brain cancer, a lot of people figure, well, if my mom had breast cancer, I'm going to have breast cancer. With glio, people were worried that maybe if my dad had glio, maybe I'm going to have glio. And one of the first things we found out was that glio has no genetic marker. There's no genetic identity. We're looking for the genetic marker, but it has no genetic identity, which would say that if you had a parent or, if you have genetic identity with somebody in your family that had glio, that doesn't mean you're going to get it. We really push early detection because that's still the best cure. And for people that are diagnosed, may not be a popular thing to say, but I always say, I don't believe in second opinions. I believe in seventh opinions. Learn, grow, understand what was going on in your body and get in front of as many people as you can to understand your condition and figure out the best way to solve your problem.
You're doing some great work. That event coming up, hopefully we can help you sell some tickets here today. And
please.
We're going to do what we can. But again, I mentioned the platform you created because you are a world-class figure skater. Why was it skating? Was that the sport that you picked up, that you started to train, and you excelled at?
Well, I was very sick as a child. I was in hospitals for 4 years, in and out as a kid. When kids are sick, they don't know they're sick. They just go about their lives. But I was the shortest and weakest and the sickest in my class. I knew I was different and felt like I was always the last one chosen for any of the sports we were doing. I always felt like I was less than everybody else. Bowling Green State University in Ohio built a brand new skating rink in 1967. And I started skating, 66, and opened in 66. I started skating in 67. And it was remarkable that after a few weeks, I could skate as well kids. And after a few more weeks, I could skate as well as the best athletes in my grade. For the first time in my life, I had self-esteem. I would rink rat. If something like that happens, you just can't get enough. I'd go to the rink all day, every day. All I wanted to do was skate. I started competing a little bit and testing and doing all those things. And then started getting teased about being a figure skater in a very small town. So I took up hockey. I still figure skated, but I played hockey just to stifle the teasing. And it was 3 years later, I was doing both. And I had my second neck brace due to a dear friend of mine who does not want to be mentioned anymore because he got me in the corner. I shouldn't have been in the corner. I knew better. I got checked and that neck brace sort of said, I'm done with hockey. But the cool thing about that was when I started playing hockey, I was like 9, 10. When I stopped playing hockey, I was like 12, 13. And when you're 9, 10, it's a lot different than when you're 12 and 13. They teased me when I was 9 or 10, twinkle toes and ballerina on skates and everything else, right? I got that, a lot of that. By the time I'm 12, 13, my hockey buddies realized that I had more access to girls than they ever would. It changed the game completely. It was like, buddy, hey, pal, competition this weekend at the rink. I go, yeah, they're coming in from all over the region. Can you set me up with that girl from Cleveland? I can make an introduction. I started doing the ice shows, local ice shows, and I started competing on the national level. I started garnering a little more respect. In my senior year in high school, after a lot of last place finishes, I ended up winning junior nationals, which changed everything. It changed the trajectory completely. I was able to secure a sponsor, and I was able to have a second life in skating because my parents were broke. They were going to have to pull me out of the sport and send me to college. And because they were both professors at the university, it would be free and they could afford free, but that was about it at that point. I got a second life in skating, and the next year I lost my mom to cancer, and it sort of woke me up. I didn't skate well the last competition she saw me skate in, and that sort of lit a fire under my tail. So I just decided to grow up and honor her. And so I went to the Olympics. She always thought I was going to the Olympics, but I wasn't very good for a long time. And then starting in October of 1980 to March of 1984, I never lost a competition. So last place guy figured it out, and I was able to go undefeated, 4 U.S. titles, 4 world titles, and then Olympic gold. And it was there that I realized I could now do things differently. Right after the Olympics, we put on a huge event at the old McNichols Arena and sold it out. We had a full Denver Symphony Orchestra was going to get half the proceeds as performers, and we were going to send the other half of the proceeds to cancer research, directly to cancer research. Ironically, we would raise $25,000 in my hometown of Bowling Green. The Olympic year, it was $75,000. That night, we raised for cancer research $250,000. So I was like, oh, things looking better now these days. And so I turned pro and I pursued a professional career, and 13 years into that, which I thought if I skated for 4, I was fooling a lot of people. But 13 years into that, I was diagnosed with cancer. I got a lot of support. People rallied around me. I had great care at home, phenomenal physicians, and I was able to not only survive, but be on tour the very next year.
Yeah, being an athlete, an Olympic athlete, and a gold medal winning Olympic athlete, did that help you in your cancer journey? Did that mentally, maybe physically as well?
Well, I think I'm coachable. So doctors, nurses, tell me what to do and I'll do it, because I desperately want to get my life back, and I can be pretty disciplined. So tell me what to do and I'll do it. I think part of the reason I was able to respond so well to the chemo drugs is because I was in such good physical condition. I was doing 3 solos a night plus group work every night. I was exhausted after every show. You're pumping a lot of blood through your bloodstream and you're moving things fast. And when they looked at my vascular identity of having blood moving, they said, man, you got sewer pipes. We're going to be able to do this really well for you. And, the journey was make me laugh. I don't want to look back on this and think of sickness and sadness. I want to look back on this and remember all the laughter and all the things. So my nurse figured it out right away, and she would treat me like an 8-year-old, decorate all my chemo bags with Snoopy stickers and Mylar, and I had SpongeBob and Snoopy Band-Aids. And if I was really good that day, there was a banana popsicle waiting for me in the nurse's freezer. And so, they treated me like an 8-year-old, even though I was 38 years old. And 38 staple surgery, where, when you need core strength to skate, and from your sternum all the way down to your groin, it was just opened up. I was going to take a while to work out. I had a seam there. It was scar tissue, so it didn't move as well. I had to get that moving again and learn how to skate a little differently because my core strength was way off. I had to process out all the chemo drugs. That was a big adventure. And oddly, I will tell you that it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it changed.
You won a gold medal in the Olympics, but that was the best thing.
And we're always fighting imposter syndrome if we're smart. And I guess I always felt like I know how to win these competitions, but that didn't make me any better than anybody else. I knew I had opportunity professionally. My executive director, she says, "Oh, what are we going to do? Can you do more?" I said, "Yeah, I get more things." I go, "Of course, put me in. I want to support this organization every way I can." We wouldn't be having these conversations if I wasn't on the podium at the Olympics, especially gold, because it opens doors for you. It gives you a level of credibility in the marketplace where you can really leverage that into a unique opportunity. I was able to do that in my performing career and also in my desire to change cancer forever for the better.
Let's go back to 1984 for a moment here. Again, that's the year that you win the gold medal. Were you the favorite going in? How going through your mind as a 25-year-old?
Yeah. So after the 80 Olympics, I was ranked fifth. The gold medalist, Robin Cousins, turned pro. The silver medalist, Jan Hoffman, went to medical school. The bronze medalist, Charlie Tickner, turned pro. All I had to do was wake up and I'm ranked second in the world. And I go, what do I have to do to be number one? I got to get better at some stuff like compulsory figures. I put my head down and got to work. I realized that the only real good strength is a lack of weakness. I needed to be consistent, strong in all three aspects, figures, short and long program. And if I was, I'd be really hard to beat because there were guys that were really good at figures that had a hard time free skating. And there were some really great free skating guys that struggle with figures. Starting in that fall at Skate Canada international competition in Calgary, I won. I was lights out. I like to compete a lot. So I went to the regionals, sectionals, then nationals. Won my first nationals. It was a great night of skating. Everybody skated their tail off. It was awesome. Then I went to Worlds and I was third going into the free program and skated great. I mean, I skated really well and even shocked myself and pulled from third to first and won my first world title. And it was there that I just felt like, I felt if I'm the world champion in my event, the sport is at its worst place in history because I'm still last place guy. And so my coach, really had to see me through it. And I went the next year, I did all the competitions leading up in sectionals, regionals. I kept preparing. I went to Worlds in Copenhagen, Denmark that year. I did well in the figures. I was always I'm adamant that I will never miss in the short program. So I actually did at nationals and I was second in the short program at nationals, but at Worlds, I ended up winning the short program and the long program. I'm not competing against the history of the world. I'm competing against knuckleheads just like me that just doing the best they can. If I can stay ahead of these other guys, I have a chance of winning an Olympic gold medal. 83 season, I went through undefeated again, and I went to all the competitions. I love competing, and went to Sarajevo as a heavy favorite. What was wild was I just happened to run into members of the media, and they would say things like, "You realize you're the favorite, right? You're the only lock, the only sure thing in this Olympics. Can you imagine if you don't win, how embarrassing that's going to be for your country?" It was like, okay, I'm going to just lock myself in my room and just avoid all members of the media until I'm done. And I haven't talked about it much, but I won the figures outright, which was, I was competing against a guy who was the best figures guy ever. And I beat him in all three figures. So that put me so far ahead of the rest of the field that I just needed to get through the short program. Brian Orser was coming on fast and we were good friends. He showed up at a practice to watch me and I figured, okay, I'm going to lay it down. So I went and did my long program clean all the way through in this practice. And I looked up at him and I gave him that look and he looked at me like, "Is that it?" I was like, oh, he's going to beat me in the long program. I got to get a lead. I had a huge lead going into the long and I got sick between the short and the long program. My whole right side of my head was just congested and you can't take any medication because of doping. Yeah. I had to deal with this whole thing where I couldn't really breathe and I couldn't hear out of my right ear and I couldn't really, my balance was off. But I figured I had muscle memory because I trained so hard for that season. And I missed two jumps. One was I popped open to a single and the other one was a double. But the rest of the program I skated through fine. I ended up coming second in the long program to Brian. And he pulled from 8th in figures all the way to 2nd overall.
Wow.
On the 40th anniversary of that night, me, Brian Orser, and Joe Sabachick were together in New York raising money for cancer research.
Wow.
And on that night, I got to announce that a study for immunotherapy for the cancer that killed my mom was going into clinical trial.
Right.
You have good nights, great nights, and bad nights. It's just letting the tension of all three and just taking as it comes. Brian, he went on to the next 4 years. He was silver to Brian Boitano in the Battle of the Bryans in Calgary. And we've remained really close friends. As a coach, he's won 3 Olympic gold medals, 2 with Yuzuru Hanyu of Japan and 1 with Kim of Korea. And I won 1, he won 3. So at the end of the day, we're all happy and we all really like each other. But to win an Olympic gold medal, I'm the least likely guy on the planet to ever have won an Olympic gold medal. I realized soon after the Olympics that, yeah, it's a great accomplishment, but ultimately we're going this way. We're not going to be stuck in the past. I really tried to build a professional career that wasn't based solely on being Olympic gold medals. That medal opened the door, but I had to build a career just based on each audience, just convincing them that I'm worthy of their ticket price and that I really want them to come back every year. So my role models were Bruce Springsteen because he built it blue collar and hard work all the way. Neil Diamond because he showed joy every time he was on stage and it made people want to come back. The second Sweet Caroline was over, you're like, oh, I can't wait to do that again. I wanted to be that guy too. And then the third role model was Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin. When he went solo, he just took every chance you can take. He experienced every type of music and rhythm and style. And I was like, I want to be that guy. I want to be blue collar. I want to be absolutely contagious joy. And I don't want to be afraid of taking chances. And so from that, I think that was sort of a combination that allowed me to skate for 20 years as a pro.
Did you use some of those influences in your performance music and different things that you did?
Yeah.
Perform?
Yeah. I mean, I just love, a lot of times when they give me the mic, I'd steal a lot of stuff from Springsteen because he's so good. I mean, you've seen him in concert, the stories he tells and the way he gets people really riled up. He inspired me to do some fun things with the crowd. And the Neil Diamond thing, I didn't care if I fell 3 times in my program. It was going to be the greatest night of my life. I learned that everybody in that building coming to the shows are just taking 2 hours off from their lives. If I have a rough night, I don't care. I'm going to be pure joy because they deserve that. And I learned how to do that under every circumstance, whether I was injured or off one night. I never wanted them to see anything but pure joy because we're in the same room on that one night. So let's make it count.
You're incredibly humble. And again, I think when you win an Olympic gold, maybe it could go to some people's head, but why isn't it for you? Where do you get that humility from?
I went to the Olympics, and even though I'd had that run, I was relatively unknown. ABC was going to feature me because I was a favorite, but I was still relatively unknown. After I got back, there was a parade, in downtown Denver, and it was 5,000 people were at this thing. And I just got all this attention, and it was just, whoa, this is different. I don't know what to do with this. The governor of Colorado invited me into his office the day after the parade. So I went in, jacket, tie, the whole thing, respect. And he just closed the door behind me because he just wanted to have sort of a one-on-one talk. And in that talk, he said, have you ever heard of the hometown hero syndrome? I said, no. What is that? He said, the best example I can give you is, say you're the quarterback of the high school football team and you throw a pass at the end of the game, winning touchdown, win the state championship, and everybody carries you off the field on their shoulders. And you think the rest of your life is going to be just like that. He said, look, I want you to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Absolutely. But I also want you to understand that life isn't always going to be a parade with 5,000 people in Larimer Square. Just not. And it was one of the, I've never forgotten it. And it really, I put that high up in some of the greatest moments to prepare me for next, that I ever could have had. And then a few nights later, I was asked to speak at the Paralympic banquet. Back then, the Paralympics were in January. They weren't part of the Olympic Games. They were in Innsbruck that year. And they brought the whole team to Denver to celebrate their achievements post-Olympic. They said, bring your medal and your Olympic uniform, and we'd love for you to speak to our athletes. So, okay, I'd be honored. So I came wearing my medal and I got my Olympic team uniform on, and I walk into this ballroom and I see all these athletes wearing the same medal that I had, except they were missing legs. They were blind, or they had countless reasons for not pursuing an athletic career. They were the heroes. Like, who am I? They're the true heroes. They're the people that can really inspire people to rise above their circumstances. All I did was go to a competition against guys I've known for 8 years. It really diminished that accomplishment in a big way after I had the talk with the governor about hometown hero syndrome. And I was like, let me connect these two things. And I did. And so my Olympic gold medal lived in my underwear drawer in a brown paper bag for 8 years until I was inducted into the World Figure Skating Hall of Fame. They asked if I wanted anything on display. And I said, everything. And they go, what do you mean? I go, I don't want anything. Can you take every medal I've ever won, every trophy I've ever won? Can you just take it? I don't want I don't want to get stuck. I just don't want to get stuck. I want to keep moving forward. And this stuff, it's been sitting there just getting wrinkled and collecting dust. Maybe someday I'll have a family and they'll want to see it. But in the meantime, I don't want to have anything to do with it. And what I didn't realize at the time, because I had my own spiritual and religious beliefs, I just didn't know I didn't really know what they were based in. I believed, I just didn't know how to do it. And I realized when I came to faith that those things are idols. And idols really prevent you from living your life fully and joyfully. They get you stuck. I've made friends with a lot of other Olympic athletes, like Bart Connor, one of my favorite friends in the world. He's married to a very famous Nadia Comaneci. It's remarkable how humble they are and how they just want to serve other people. That's all I've ever wanted to do. I think that's why I love them so much, because it's not about them. It's about whatever opportunities come, great, but they really like pouring into other people. I'm drawn to people like that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense. That time in your life was so small compared to everything afterwards and what you've been able to do. You also did on the broadcast as well. Your experience, did that help you with that and try to relate that to the athletes that you were broadcasting for, the skaters that you were broadcasting for, to tell them about your story a little bit?
Yeah, I'm always available. I love skating community is this big. It's bigger, but it feels like that, during the last Olympics, every living Olympic gold medalist, which was every Olympic gold medalist that's ever won for the United States, were still alive. We just lost Dick Button in January, but we were all still alive and on a group chat rooting Nathan Chen on. That's the community. I forgot your question. So remind me.
Talking about your experience.
Yeah.
With the skaters that you were broadcasting for.
Oh, yeah. So we know each other really well. That's the point I was trying to make. I could see if a skater was going in and they went like that, I go, oh, this is going to be a bumpy ride. Or if their warm-up was off, I knew their tendencies, I knew their habits. So for me to step into that role, I had an advantage because I'd spent so much time with these skaters actively. I knew them from their development and everything else. The general public, mostly television critics and writers, weren't ready for anybody to step into Dick Button's gigantic shoes. And so I got roasted bad. They didn't write very nice things about me when I first started. But what I learned was that because of Dick Button's legacy, history, everything else, I was going to be the next voice, which is the worst thing you can be, right? So I prepared and I had research binders and folders, and I'd written everything down, and I memorized their programs. And I go, when they do this, I'm going to say that. And that's why they hated me. It was because it was packaged and canned. And I was thinking that my role as a broadcaster was as important as the athletes that were skating in front of me. It was like, so we get to the pair event, and then Vern Lundquist, he sat to my left, I sat to his right, and he was there to help me, and he was helping me a lot. We had a Saturday Night Live skit about us. Phil Hartman played Vern, and Dana Carvey played me. It was really funny to be on Saturday Night Live. It's like, wow, we made it. We're pop culture. But what was really cool in all of that was that I went into the men's event and I realized it was my fault that I was being so harshly criticized. I had this gigantic binder, and I picked up my binder, and Vern's looking at me, and I leaned over to my right and I threw it in a trash can. And I looked at Vern and I said, Vern, I got nothing. And he went, okay, well, let's see how this goes. And from then on, I was an extension of the audience. I was as in awe as they were, and I responded in kind. And I was able to describe skating in lay terms that didn't insult the knowledgeable audience. I found my groove in that. And from there on, I was accepted. And I ended up doing 7 Olympics as the lead analyst. And then since Sochi, Pyeongchang, I did a pregame show, which was so much fun. It was the hardest I've ever worked at Olympics because it was a brand new role. And I had to, and then in Beijing, everybody was working out of Stanford. It was COVID. They built a studio in my basement, and I had a remote control camera. I just did the Olympics in Beijing from my basement. And it was great. This year, I was talking to Molly Solomon, the president of the Olympics for NBC. I hadn't heard from anybody in a while. So at the World Figure Skating Championships in Boston last March, I just said, I really want to come back. And she said, really? I was like, I wouldn't. But she said, really? And I go, yeah, I really want to come back. Is there a role for me? And she said, we'll get together. We'll find something. I said, oh, thank you so much. So I'm about to broadcast my 10th Olympics, which is, it ties Dick Button's record. And I'm going to be a studio analyst with Mike Tirico. I'll be the friend of Mike in the studio, which I've never done before. So that'll be interesting. My 17-year-old son will be traveling with me. NBC might have a job for him there. So that's going to be really fun to see how he does. I never thought I'd broadcast one, and I'm going into my 10th one, which is surreal and humbling.
Started out being the broadcaster you thought you had to be, but being yourself was certainly enough. Look where it's gotten you. We're looking forward to seeing you be part of the Olympics coming up this year as well. Almost out of time here, but let's go back to your event coming up. Scott Hamilton and Friends, tickets available. Great event. People don't want to miss it. Give us another plug and why people need to come out to this and experience it in person.
It's so good. That's the set list right here. If you've never seen a set list, that's the set list. We're covering a couple songs too. We're covering Boston and Foreigner, and we've got Loverboy, Kansas, REO Speedwagon, Chicago, Journey. And all of these songs, we've heard them so many times, but to see them come alive with Olympic level skating and athleticism and artistry, it is so great. And there's one number in the show that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. A lot of the skating club kids from around the region, through our Skate to Eliminate Cancer peer-to-peer fundraising program, they raise money. The top 30 fundraisers get to be in the show. We call them the Overcomers. The first year we did this, they skated to Visa's Overcomer. We give them a piece of music, they choreograph it, and we put it right in the middle of the show. Each year it gets an even greater appreciation. It's everything from a 6-year-old girl to an oncologist, Ron, who's in there every year as an adult skater. It's remarkable. Teaching children that they can personally change their world for the better and forever is the drug. I just want to do it all the time. In the next 3 months, we have 21 events. Our biggest one is at Bridgestone Arena on November 23rd. Live music and skating. It's better than the sum of its parts. And everybody that comes walks out with a huge smile saying, wow, I had no idea. You watch skating on TV, you think it's spectacular. To see it right in front of you with the reigning Olympic champion, Nathan Chen, and all these other Olympic skaters, it's incredible. We got Gracie Gold, Elijah Balde, Keegan Messing, Jeremy Abbott, Katya Gordieva, Nam Nguyen, Mariah Bell, Max Naumoff, who tragically lost his parents in the plane crash last January. Just Polina Edmonds, and the Cares are coming back, and we have newbies. Luke Wang and Olivia Flores are first timers with us up here, team. So it's so epic. I can't even describe how epic this event is. I would think it would sell out like that. We're way behind. We got to catch up. And I'm really hoping that we're able to fill as many seats as we can, because every seat sold is another promise to a better future for people living with cancer. And for those we honor who have lost the battle, we recognize them as well. So I just beg people to come. This is our signature event. It means the world to us, and it's so good. We'd love to see you there.
Ticketmaster, Bridgestone Arena box office. Get those tickets now. Make sure you're there. Unfortunately, I'm not in Nashville, but it sounds like an extraordinary event. And again, you're an extraordinary person, because winning a gold medal in 1984 is just such a small part of who you are and what you're doing. Kudos to you, a cancer survivor, taking this to heart to do your best to help people like you.
Well,
I'm here today.
I look at that every day. It's an hourglass. All we want is more sand, more memories, more life, more everything. Thank you for your kind words and for giving me this platform. I hope we get to do it again someday.
Well, thank you, Scott Hamilton, and be sure to check out that event coming up November 23rd in Nashville. Get those tickets at Ticketmaster or Bridgestone Arena box office. Our thanks today for the help that we got from Tori Sims from 777 Public Relations for helping arrange our interview today with Scott. As always, we thank you for watching and listening and invite you to subscribe, to like, and to share our episodes. For J.R. Quitman, our creator, producer, and director behind the scenes, I'm Mike Vaccaro. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Another episode of In the Front Row. Have a great day, everybody.